Well, almost live.
Now we're live. What's going on, everyone? Wait a few seconds to let everybody join in.
No, they're pretty much waiting on us, so you can go ahead and get going. I'll
Oh,
be on camera in a second.
okay, no worries. Damn, they beat me to the point. Well, everyone, I hope everyone's having a good night so far. Thank you for being with us. Welcome to Ages. We really appreciate it. As you see, our gracious host, Marcus Rage Cage, is preoccupied right now, but he'll be back in a second. But I would like to formally introduce my most cherished guest, Franco. How you doing, man?
What's up, Jalen? It's a pleasure to finally be on here. Marcus, this is a long time coming. Thank you guys so much for bringing me on. And sorry if I look like a floating head here with this blue shirt on blue background.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, Jalen, the host Marcus Rage, and this is Talk of the Ages. So, Franco, you're doing all right, man. Everything going good with you?
Everything's going good. I'm gonna watch Spider-Man: No Way Home tomorrow. I'm excited for that.
Oh, I
Um,
go to I
yeah,
go
I
to
know. Huh?
Saturday.
You're watching it Saturday?
Yeah,
I
I'm.
won't spoil anything. I
Please, I'm
promise.
saying on Twitter, Instagram, everything, man.
I'm like I'm going through everything cautiously because I don't want it to be spoiled by anything.
I know. Like I saw tickets were sold out for 3 p.m. at a random theater.
Bro, there were people selling the tickets for like 10 grand, 20 grand, putting like the location of the theater and stuff on eBay and all that cuz people are that crazy to watch the movie on opening day on Thursday.
People are on different types of
I
drugs.
know.
So, I wanted to ask you. So, how'd you start doing content?
So I started doing content now almost 2 years ago. I started in January. I had my friends over at HMO Podcast, uh, who they had their local channel. They talked about sports. They talked about pop culture, and I wanted to help spread awareness about what's happening in politics. So I wanted to join. I did some on the ground stuff in January after the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the general of Iran,
Mhm.
and there was there was a protest that was happening in D.C. outside the White House with Code Pink, Answer Coalition. I ran into Medea Benjamin there. I saw Anya Parampil. I got to interview both of them. I saw Max Blumenthal. I didn't get to interview him. And I like doing that. I just asked basic questions because I knew the audience for HMO podcast are not as informed as other viewers of independent media. So I just asked them, how did we get here with this situation with Iran? And then after that, I just did more studio videos. Um, I started having more guests on. The more guests, the more subscribers I had on. And shout out to Glory and Shadowban because they've been on the show back. Well, Glory was on the show back when I had less than 100 subscribers.
Oh, shout out to
Um,
him.
yeah. And then just the more subscribers, the more guests I'd have on, the bigger people who I could have on. I love doing panel discussions, and the more people that I would bring on, the more that my mind would get open, and I would see, oh, there's things that I thought were true that I was wrong on, or there's some things that some of the people who I would listen to were overlooking.
Hmm.
Um, so that's pretty much how I got started.
Okay, so I hear you're a teacher.
Yeah, um, I do teach, although I don't know if I should say this here, but I don't want this to be used against me if I do get to go on this debate with Vosh, because he did get to DM me. Just some updates here. He's We haven't settled on a date yet, but it looks like he may be interested. But if he continues to play these games where he pretends to forget, then I won't let him forget it. But yeah, I hope I don't have that be used against me.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you, like,
Yeah.
how is it being a teacher now in these times?
It's it's fun. Like, I do have some liberties in showing my students some things that some of these other professors and
Oh, you
teachers.
teach at a college?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Um, so yeah, there's I had some when I was a grad student, I was a teaching assistant, so I got to teach some labs and all that. It's fun. They're all around your age, 18, 19, 20, freshmen. It's a lot of fun. What do you mean by like these times with like everything going on with the
Yeah,
Rona and
especially
everything?
with like with the I'm not gonna say the name. Just has have you noticed a change in the interaction with students now versus maybe 2 years
It's
ago?
so weird with all these masks, and then when you see them, like I did teach one virtual class this semester for right before Thanksgiving because I didn't want to drive all the way over there, and I know a
Yes.
lot of them wanted to go back home for Thanksgiving, so I had a virtual class with my mask off, and then some of my students are like, "Whoa, Franco looks like a real person." And it's like, yeah, like when they take off their masks to like get a drink or something or to like eat a snack, they look so weird. Like they look so much more different than how I pictured them looking in my head.
I can imagine like when I first went back because I graduated in May. So when I finally went back to school the following year, because it happened my junior year. So when I went back to school and we all had the mask on our face, it's like, yo, I haven't seen you in like 7 months. And then you see people have facial hair, and it was like, damn, I didn't even know.
Yeah. It's
And
so weird. Yeah, like
I used to get
your brain is filling in the gaps of what it can't see.
exactly.
And then yeah, they take it off and I see facial hair. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you had facial hair. That's weird."
Yeah, I know people look totally different. They either look really good or really busted. What's going
Oh
on?
my god.
So watched a few of your videos. I actually did watch you and Marcus on your show on Rockfin, and I saw on YouTube you have a lot of videos pertaining to strikes. Is that something that you support? Or are you like pro union? What is your really stance on that for workers?
I'm getting more informed about what's actually going on within unions, thanks to my friend Polly Shadowban, who's in the chat. With strikes, I like going on the ground and covering what's happening, asking people why they support certain issues. Of course, I'm not going to agree entirely with everything that what they think is best for our country. Like a lot of people who go on strikes think that certain legislation is going to help us, but I've been learning, the legislation is crafted by the people we're supposed to be fighting against. So a lot of that could be used as Trojan horses. These are things I'm learning more and more as time goes on. But regardless, I still like going on the ground. I still like showing solidarity with people because these are, at the end of the day, these are people who are frustrated that want to see changes. And if they find out about shows like mine, find out about shows like Marcus's or Glory's, or I think Shadowban and Jack are going to have a show soon. If they find out more about us, then the more informed that they can get. Um,
Yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more of. In fact, I might be trying to work on something with Jack. Possibly on this channel here. I would love to be like I've offered for them. It's just a matter of working out the logistics. But we've talked about possibly having a them doing maybe their own thing together, the both of them, or maybe one doing something and hopping in and out. And plus, there's some behind the scenes work which they've been helping my team with also. So for those out there who know L, of course, L is going to be working, in tandem with them on some research and stuff. So looking forward to a lot of that.
I can't wait for that. Yeah, because
Well,
Polly and Jack are very well researched. They dive deep into the legislation, and we need to understand how are our enemies operating. How are our lives going to change? They're gonna do this with this legislation. And shout out to Mona too. She's been a long time supporter of
yeah.
Frank Analysis and other
Yeah,
shows.
Shout out to
and
Frank. Analysis.
And
And I wanted to
Tony.
say a shout out to Tony. I noticed Tony hopped in here, was like, "Oh, 99-minute wait," but no longer the wait. So you're here, and glad to see everybody who was patient enough. I was trying to rush home, and I don't know if you guys know how California traffic is.
You
I only
gotta
work seven miles away from my home, and it took
LA,
me
that LA traffic, man.
an hour to get home. Well,
before
about 45 minutes, 50 minutes to get home.
that was me today because Frank, are you familiar with like Florida and the highways?
Miami, or which
Okay, so
part?
Tampa.
In Tampa. Okay.
So
How?
there's a highway 275 which goes on to I-4 which you take to get to Orlando. So where my job is, I have to take those highways, and there was 4 different accidents between both of those highways. I was late.
Man, I don't want to hear it talking about 275 traffic. Man, get the hell out of here.
Nah, see,
I've driven all through Florida, so I know the bad areas. Now, if you're on the I-4 corridor, that's different.
okay,
But
okay.
275, that ain't bad at all. Miami's way worse.
I-95, I've had to pick up my little brother from school in Boca from West Palm. That I left 30 minutes early and still was still 10 minutes late.
Well, try trying to drive to LA right now and see what that's like.
Well,
I've heard stories
my mom
about
was in
LA.
LA a few weeks ago, and she said they had to leave an hour early and still were late.
You tell them, Glory. You tell them. It's something that I noticed. I'm thinking about doing a video on it. I'm not sure. I was wondering if you heard about this yet, Franco. I think it's Business Insider, where they did a deep dive into politicians and illegal trades. And because we all know that the legislation which they're voting on and stuff like that, and their committees are working on, that it basically gives them advanced knowledge. So it's kind of legal insider trading
Yeah.
that they have. And this is something that I've been screaming about for, I mean, to date myself, easily about 25 years. I've been bitching about this very same issue over and over and over. And now they finally did this detailed list. Shut up, Jalen. Detailed list, showing a lot of, and of course, it's going to be people which you obviously know. Um, I was wondering, had you heard anything about that yet?
I haven't, but that would be cool to see. This is similar to what Robbie Yeager does, and he shows look at all of what Nancy Pelosi invested in before the lockdowns, and then
Mm-hmm.
during the lockdowns, look at how much her and her husband profited. She
Yeah.
was investing in these video game companies and all these other things. How would she know all these exact companies that ended up doing so well, and these big pharma companies?
And don't forget, what is it? All the interactive software, like ones we're on now, like StreamYard and Zoom and GoToMeeting and all those
Yeah.
things like that. A lot of them were heavily invested in that stuff. Dianne Feinstein, one of my state senators, she was at the top of that list.
But hey, Marcus, hey, just start a business, and then you'll be as rich as them one day.
Well, no, I honestly thought seriously before I had some of the viewpoints I have now in electoral politics. I honestly was thinking about running for a state senate to challenge Dianne Feinstein.
Mhm.
But I knew, for one, I don't have the money, and it would be hard to get the media out here. I know it's considered a blue state, but when we talk about blue state just means establishment Democrats. So it doesn't matter how left of the left you want to be. There's a cutoff, and you can't go past that, or else you're basically irrelevant. And
Yeah.
so if you don't fit into, for instance, out here, in which I know this is a topic which you definitely talked about, especially your debate which you had with Jose. Yes, what was it? Raquena?
Rikina.
Rakina.
It's not an Enya. It's just an N.
No.
It's just all by design like this. That's why all these politicians are chosen people. Because regular people like us, it's hard for us to find time and money and resources to be able to run a campaign, and then
You know,
when we
keep the lights.
do, it's all rigged against us.
So,
Yes. Well,
Franco,
and that brings me to another thing. I've noticed, like for instance, I noticed Sabby interviewed Paula Jean Swearinger. I believe it was yesterday, and I was just wondering because I won't hide the ball at all for the audience. I don't have a great deal of faith in third parties. I mean, I would like to hope, but I just don't have a lot of confidence that the powers that be are not going they're not going to allow you to get around them. They're going to always throw in all of these blockades and extra hurdles, and I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think that it's still a viable pathway, in this, I guess, electoral atmosphere?
If you were to ask me this when you first came on, the first time you came on was with Glory, remember?
Hmm.
And Israel from Big Talk Little Talk.
Yeah, Israel
Uh,
Lucero.
if you were to ask me back then, I would have said yes. I think this was like a little bit before I started talking to more activists. I would have said, yeah, third parties should help. We should all put our energy behind MPP, Movement for a People's Party. They're gonna save us. But the more I started finding out about how messy everything was in there, how messy everything was in the Green Party, how messy things are even in the Libertarian Party, and how there's all these obstacles with our election system. Um, it's not a viable way to install change. The only way that that could work is if we start all talking to each other a lot more, start understanding more what are the problems, and if everybody in the country, well, not exactly everyone, but the vast majority of people all just come together, organize, and get behind the third party, which is the chances of that are very slim, right?
Did you
So
see this comment? I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but this cracked me up. It said, "Glory, they would smear the smears of Marcus." That's how bad it would be. I
well,
mean, I agree. And then Steve Torres says facts. So I mean, they agree with your perspective and my perspective on it. Just and I tell people, don't think that I've always had this thinking. I mean, you can go to this channel here and look back to videos a year ago, 2 years ago,
a lot of ver-
and I spoke very differently. I had a lot more optimism, I'd say. What were
and
you
look
gonna
at
say, Taylor?
you were best friends with Bernie.
yeah,
But as
I
far
also
as
like Bernie a lot and Tulsi a lot.
Yeah. Well, go ahead,
Yeah.
Franco.
Jalen was gonna ask something.
Oh,
you guys were talking about belief in third party systems, third party, whatever. Um, I think the Green Party made the ballot in Florida, so I went and voted, and I didn't even vote. I voted for my friend. I wrote my friend's name in there and told everyone at school the next day. But I really didn't have belief in them because by the time I got to that point, I was able to vote. I had already gained so much knowledge that I already knew there was no way. And then, like you said, the Green Party, they were all like, oh, anti mandates, vaccines. Now on their pro page, they're like, we're pro vax and pro
Yeah,
mandates.
right.
Why did you guys just switch up? I thought you guys were all anti establishment, all these different things, but you copping just for support. And not only that, people won't take the time to even read. As much as we can say we can all come together, we need to all come together. If we're being realistic, the average person you're going to see in America will not care. Yeah, they're going to sit and complain about how much it sucks here, but will do nothing to educate themselves or try to do anything to try to go against the system. I tell people, they're always like, "Oh, we want change. We want change." Um, well, if you really want change, you got to separate yourselves from the powers that be. And that's the same thing with the third parties. I feel like if you want to separate yourself, you can't run through an election. Because like we know before, say the Green Party was elected for president, right? Let's say their nominee was elected for president. What's going to change?
That's the other thing. A lot of them don't understand what exactly the problems are in our country. What legislation are they going to implement that's going to improve our lives?
Yeah,
Is it going to
like
be legislation that they crafted, or is it going to be the legislation that's in there right now that was
exactly.
crafted by these lobbyists?
You know,
So I was just gonna say there's a lot of naive people that are in the third parties that
hmm
are that are running it, that don't exactly know how to fix our country.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I just think, and I've heard people say that I'm
Marcus,
a
your audio
nihilist.
is a little.
I've heard people say that I'm a nihilist, and I don't think that I'm a nihilist. I think that where our power is shining the light on the corruption. I mean, what do you think, Franco?
Shining the light on the corruption, that's how we know exactly what the problems are and how we fix the problems. But the thing is, even among people who watch independent media, a lot of those audience members don't even know how deep the corruption is. They haven't gone deep enough into the rabbit hole. They think they've made it out of the matrix, but they haven't. And even what they've evolved, they've transcended past like one commentator who they used to admire. Like, let's say they stopped listening to Kyle Kalinske, but then they're still listening to some other commentator. There's still some things that they don't understand exactly what's going on, right? They're still supporting certain legislations that are crafted by these lobbyists. They're still supporting third parties. So then that tells me that they don't exactly know what the problems are, how deep this corruption goes. So yeah, there's not enough education. That's what should come first, is educating the masses on what exactly the problems are.
You know,
Yeah, I completely agree. Go ahead, Jalen.
Franco, I agree with you, but I also disagree a little bit because I feel like they're so powerful. It's to the point that even if you wake up, I feel like a lot of people can just be bought. Their silence can be bought. I feel like even if we get to it, it shows with these people, like you said, lobbyists that are crafting these legislations, they can buy laws. Who's to say they can't buy a group of people or silence a
Oh,
group
that's certainly possible.
or
Yeah.
ban a group of people? So I feel where you feel like education, I completely agree. But I also feel like we have to start being more self sufficient. We use their money, we use their roads, we use their cars, we use all these different things that we don't own. I read this article on this man who's completely self-sufficient. He drilled a hole in the ground to create his own electricity in his house. Same thing with water. He doesn't pay electricity. He bought his house years ago, and he grows his own food. He says he stays away from the outside world, like he didn't even know was a thing, because he's just so self-sufficient. And you know what, a lot of people I feel want change but don't really want the change, because what comes with the change is erasing everything you ever thought was real, and also separating yourself, because people, as much as they hate this world, they love it. And you can't, but that's how deep the brainwashing goes. You hate it but you love it. That's how messed up it goes. So I feel like we need to start separating ourselves from their system piece by piece.
Yeah, they've been able to indoctrinate us with a lot of comfort. Like, even like myself, like I find comfort in these MCU movies, but I know how corrupt Hollywood is and all that. But I gotta have some escapism
Yeah,
to,
you need to
you
stick
know.
with it, most
But
definitely, because
I
but
know about the corruption that's going on behind the scenes and all that. But
exactly.
I still can find some influence in some of these stories that we get in like mangas, comic books, and all that. Um, even though the authors may not be as informed as me. You guys get what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
I
no,
get exactly. I get exactly what you mean. And Jalen, what I would say is you gotta first get people educated first on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be a sprint. You gotta slow it down a little bit. First, people have to understand it. Then, when they can understand it, then they can take steps. But if and I talked about this with shout out to Shadowban out there. We talked about this when he was last on. If and I believe Jordan Yelbro said this also when I was on your show, Franco. It's such a momentous task to educate these people on what's going on and to show them the light. We got to focus so much on that first. And then once we can get people to that level, then we can kind of start going further.
Well,
Now,
wait.
others who are more in the know, we can start doing these other things, and then we can lead by example.
Wait,
Okay.
let me ask you this
Like,
question. I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you think by the time we educate a decent amount of people, it'll be too late?
that's a good question.
Yeah, for both of you guys,
Because
actually, do you guys think it'll be too late? Franco, I'll let you go.
because the ruling class, or whatever you want to call them, the predator class, the elites, they're evolving pretty fast. They're moving pretty fast. They're trying really hard to make workers obsolete by installing all this automation. Um, and are we going? Are enough people going to become aware enough to start their own, I don't know, parallel societies or whatever would be the best solution to take power away from these people? Like, stop giving them money. Will we get there in time? It's going to depend on on what tactics these people use. If they start accelerating too much, it may become too obvious. Like, if things happen too fast, people aren't gonna like that. That's why,
They give it
kind
to
of
us.
with these, yeah, kind of with these mandates, I think that they skipped some steps with getting it implemented. They probably thought they weren't, because they had the lockdowns and everything. And there's a lot of people that are opposed to it, even people that were uh,
Double
double booped or
vaccinated.
double jabbed,
Mhm.
right? And so it's gonna, like, what are they gonna do next, right? Are they just doing all this to test the waters to see with what more they can get away with? What's next? They're gonna start mandating certain policies for the environment, but in reality, they're using these policies to enrich these corporations even more, which BlackRock and the Vanguard Group are invested in all these big green corporations. It's gonna really depend. It's a race right now between us who are aware and, these predators.
Yeah.
So
I
what would
mean,
you?
I agree. And it's funny you brought up BlackRock because I just read something earlier. It said that BlackRock, 30% of loans,
I saw that
BlackRock's
too.
name is on there. Yeah, you saw that?
Wait, is that
Hmm.
student loans or is that loans? What type of
No,
loan?
we're talking about home loans.
Oh, home loans. Okay.
Yeah. Um, Jalen, you already know kind of off camera, we've talked on how I view some of things. And for those who don't know, um, I believe in biblical prophecy. That's part of why I'm young Morpheus. And some of that biblical prophecy lays out that some of these things are going to happen. And there's not really a way to push them back or to really stop them. All we could do is, as individuals, be able to prepare ourselves and get ourselves out of harm. It's kind of like a big truck which is coming through a crowd. Yeah, you might be able to pull yourself out of the way and a couple of people and you'll move to a lot of people, but most of the people you're not going to be able to save. I mean, Chris says it all the time, Cy Lawson on my show. You're not going to be able to save everybody. And so
Yeah.
that's why I focus mostly on awareness because if you can be aware, you can try to, make movements against what's going to happen. It's kind of like, Franco, if Mike Tyson's pissed off at you and he starts throwing punches, at least if I told you the punches are coming, you could try to do something. You could try to move, you could run. But if I don't tell you Tyson's about to start throwing punches at you, what's going to happen?
Caught off guard. I'm not gonna know what's happens. I'm gonna wake up in the hospital
You'll get
bed,
hit with one of these.
or not wake up at all, depending
Or
on
not wake
where
up.
he hits me or how hard.
Franco gonna miss
Uh,
his second tooth.
oh
Thank you,
goodness.
Jack. Thank you, Jack. Says Marcus
Uh,
has amazing knowledge of history and the Bible.
yeah,
I try.
and
Can I ask Franco a
it,
question real fast?
yeah. Just one thing. I was just gonna say, like,
No
look at how
worries.
many people are already falling for the metaverse now and are excited for
We
it.
speak
So,
it.
speaking
It's
of
the
not
last
being
word.
able to save everybody, some people are excited about this. But
Yeah.
yes, my bad. Go ahead, Jalen.
No, I just wanted to ask you, when did you, you know what I like to call it, I like to call it the awakening, just like kind of the Matrix in a way. So when would you say you really began on your path of like, okay, now I'm kind of seeing stuff for what it really is?
There were
Hey,
multiple
independent.
times, like, there, like, it's
Or
It's a
actually, hold on.
journey.
Hold on one second, because I was going to ask kind of a similar question, and I just want you to think about what Jalen said and kind of add this context in with it. When did you first, how did you get through this journey of getting to where you are? How did you like see this? Because I've thought from the moment like me and you have kind of like clicked up, I've been following you, and I've watched the growth. I've watched changes here and there. And I would say, like, what are some of those key moments where you started noticing
Yeah.
more and more of this change and kind of an awakening, like Jalen was saying?
I like to see it as how in certain animes or like comic books, there are arcs, right? There's certain big moments that happen, right? So it's not just like one time where, like, oh, I figured everything out, right? It's been multiple arcs that occurred where I came to certain realizations, but I don't know where like it all like began or whatever, but I know that I started paying more attention to politics when Bernie in 2015 and 2016 was talking about, oh yeah, we politicians are bought out by corporations. I was like, oh, that's why we can't get anything done.
Hmm.
It's because all these politicians are bought out. And then I thought it was strange how some people would still have hope and lesser of two evils. I was like, we're not going to get anything solved if they're still doing favors for the same people, right?
Hmm.
Then I had spiritual, I guess, awakenings, psychological awakenings as well. Like I started going through like after 2016, other shit happened in my life that was personal, and then I started looking to more spiritual videos, spiritual books. There's a book that I have here called The Book of Not Knowing that just helped with my critical thinking a lot. It was like a lot of things that you think you know, you don't actually know. They're just assumptions. They're things that you've heard repeated over and over again by people, and then you just assume that it's true. So it's like just take time to think about what you think you know and try to see if you actually do know that.
Hmm.
And there's very little that we actually know as people, like for
Yeah.
sure, right? Most of this stuff that we think we know is because society's indoctrinated into us. So that just helped me
Hmm.
with my critical thinking because I think I know something just because I hear it a lot on independent media, but maybe there's something that they're not seeing. Like I gotta understand, I only think that it's true just because I see a bunch of people thinking that this is the best way.
What's going on?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's why I opened up and talked to as many people as I can on the show, even if they're small, because they may be seeing something that all these other people aren't seeing. Like it's evidence right there, right? Their evidence is weighing more than these other people's evidence, so I'm just going to accept that one for now. And then
Yeah.
as the journey goes on even more, maybe I'll find out like other stuff. Maybe there's somebody else that has more evidence than the other person.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of how it's been.
I mean, that's a good way to go about it.
You know, Marcus, it seems like a lot of people started waking up around Bernie time, 2015, 2016.
Yeah, Bernie woke a lot of people up, and I don't think he tried to. I'll say that.
I don't think he
Um,
tried to either. I think he was trying to take advantage of the moment of what was happening
mhm.
because people were fed up. But at the end of the day, he was just going to sheep herd people back in. Because
Yeah.
I heard you talking with Steve the other day. I think it wasn't on what I've been thinking, right? It's on the political matrix,
Hmm.
and it's something I talked about on my show too. And I was like, why isn't aren't all these other Bernie supporters or former Bernie supporters talking about this? There's an article called Bernie the Bomber's Bad Week. It's written by somebody who passed away, who's from the University of Connecticut or University of no, not University of Connecticut, University of Vermont. I still have the video up, and he revealed what Steve was telling you guys on the political matrix that he made a deal with the Democrats. He was like, "We're gonna stop running
Hmm.
We're gonna stop running Democrats in your district if you just agree to vote for everything that we want." And
Yep.
so he votes for everything that Democrats want in regards to foreign policy, in regards to droning uh, other countries.
About Bernie?
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I noticed that too. And then Another thing that popped my eye, even just the last year, it was all, oh yeah, go at this, but my father and I always spoke. He never went at Biden. He never went at these. If Bernie was supposed to be for the people, like everyone hyped him up to be, he didn't go. He didn't, as we say, he didn't deliver the smoke. He didn't want it.
Well, that's what made me wake up. That's what made me kind of cut the cord on Bernie because, like some people, they became Bernie fans when he ran for president. I was a Bernie fan because I used to listen to him for years and follow his career for years. I used to listen to him on the Tom Hartman show. I don't know who's familiar with Tom Hartman show if it's still a thing, but he used to have what was it whatever brunch with Bernie or whatever, and Bernie would come onto his show like every Friday and go through legislation and talk about all these different things. And so when you have a personal connection to people, it's a little harder to kind of make that cut. But when I saw him on the debate stage and I realized he would only call out the elite, he would never name names outside of a handful of people.
Yeah.
He would never really talk everything he talked about as far as the people, the elites. It was all vague. It was never naming anybody specifically, targeting anybody, and that started to be a red flag. And then when I saw him debate Bernie, the fact of I mean, not debate Bernie, but
Biden.
Biden, the fact that he did not punch nearly as hard as he should have. There was so many opportunities to take Biden down, and he just refused to do that. And so I'm like, this doesn't. It's not. It's just not computing. It's not making sense. And I was like, somebody needs to make this make sense. And so it couldn't make sense for me. I had to start digging and researching. That was kind of my journey.
Well, for me, I was kind of I wouldn't say I was pro Democrat. I didn't really claim anything. I was very young. But I just used to remember, voting for Obama. Like that was the thing. Like especially being a young black kid at that time, it was like, man, Obama, he's that dude. Like, see how fly he was in his suit? Read about policy. You just saw how fly he was. Who wearing a yellow suit and a white or whatever the case was. But
A tan suit.
and then I used to go, and because I went to school in Florida as well, I used to hear like, oh, Obamacare was the worst thing ever on the bus, and a bunch of kids who didn't know what they were talking about. But mine, I could say, really, really started around the terrorist attacks in Paris. Do you guys remember Pray for Paris?
I remember that, and everybody put the Paris flag on their profile picture on Facebook.
I was in school saying, why are we praying for Paris? It just started out like this. Prayers aren't going to do anything. People are dead. A prayer is not going to bring anyone back.
And what about the other bombings that happen in countries in Africa
Exactly.
where way more people die?
And
Well, yeah, he did not. When you just do overall, just looking back, you start noticing that everything he said was very vague and it felt shallow.
Like it was kind of like a talking point. Oh, we need to swallow the elite. They're coming to get us. They're the reason why. It's like, okay,
yeah, it's just rhetoric to get people to support him. And he's a careerist at the end of the day. But the article, I cited it in the video that I sent in the private chat. I don't know if you guys want to see.
Yeah, you want to
pop it up
on the screen, Jalen?
How I started out.
Yeah,
that video
bring it up on
wasn't
the
even.
screen, Jay.
Yeah, that video wasn't even originally on Franc Analysis. That was originally on HMO Podcast. So it was before Franc Analysis.
Oh, this one's for you, Franco.
Everyone get
For more information, you can check out that site that I have linked in the description. I have also reached out and I'm waiting to hear back from a board member who I am hoping to interview. I emailed.
These things are so different there.
what happened?
Oh, it started out at 5:47.
I want to hear more information about.
Yeah, I think I cited the article in the beginning.
Also, the growing concerns of climate change, since this group focuses on ecological concerns, and hopefully more information on who Will Miller was.
Oh yeah,
let's hear
that's
from what
Will Miller.
Will Miller
So the
had
article
to say
is
about Bernie Sanders. The
Bomber
article
Bernie's
is
Bad Week.
called "Bernie the Bomber's Bad Week."
Oh, there we go.
Now, I do want to say some of this information here. I would say take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know how accurate this is, but
It was accurate.
This Will Miller guy is this philosophy professor who is also an activist in Vermont, and there is some credibility there. But if you guys, the viewers, if you do find some of this information debunked, please let me know. Also, if I find out that some of this information is debunked, I'll let you guys know. I'll retract some of what I said, and I'll also post some notes here on this video. So what this article pretty much talks about is that in 1988, Bernie Sanders, he lost as an independent when he ran for Congress in Burlington, Vermont, because the votes for him were split with the Democrat who was running, which led to the Republican winning. So there were three people running. It was the Democrat, the Republican, and Bernie Sanders as the independent. And Bernie's vote, the people who voted for Bernie, split their votes with the people who were voting with the Democrat, and then the Republican got the majority of the votes. So what he did after this, Bernie Sanders, is that he negotiated with the Democratic Party that he will side with them on some issues in Congress if they allow him to win as an independent, and not run as a. They won't put any Democrats to run against Bernie. That was the deal that he made with them. He'll continue to run as an independent, and then in return, the Democrats won't put any Democrats to run against him. But in return, Bernie had to side with them in some issues in Congress. So having it come down to an independent, Bernie Sanders, against a Republican candidate in 1990, this allowed Bernie to win. However, also part of this deal, which was revealed in this article, was that Bernie has to suppress any third or fourth party from growing into a formidable party, which could potentially grow large enough to beat both Democrats and Republicans nationwide. So quoting the article here, Will Miller says that Bernie became an imperialist to get elected in 1990. In August 1990, after the Bush administration enticed Iraq into invading Kuwait, now this is Bush Sr., George H.W. Bush, Sanders said he wasn't going to let some damn war cost him the election, according to a staff member who was present at the time. So Sanders backed the buildup in the Persian Gulf and dumped on the left anti-imperialist peace movement, singling out his former allies like Dave Dillinger for public criticism. So Will Miller goes on to say that Bernie, he lost in 1988, the congressional race. The last time the Democratic Party ran an official candidate against him, in that election, Sanders and the Democrat Paul Poirer split the majority of the votes, and the election went to the Republican Peter Smith. Bernie, out of office for the first time in 8 years, then went to the Kennedy School at Harvard for 6 months and came back with a new relationship with the state's Democrats. The Vermont Democratic Party leadership has allowed no authorized candidate to run against Bernie in 1990 or since. And in return, Bernie has repeatedly blocked third-party building. His closet party Democrats are very worried about it.
Wow. Yeah, Jay, we can stop it there. Wow. That shows from the beginning he has been doing this. Knowingly and consciously doing this from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I gotta
so
make sure
disappointing, right?
I gotta make sure you send that one to me later on. I gotta go back and watch that.
Yeah.
I mean through its entirety.
You had that video, and my question was, if Bernie really wanted change, why didn't he run independent or third party? That's what I always used to say. And that is exactly why.
Right.
He would
Exactly.
never go third party because he was literally signed up to be the sheep herder. That's the reason why he always spoke the rhetoric of what we wanted. And then as soon as Congress got back in session, he would do exactly what they wanted.
He's a politician. They're paid to tell us lies. You know, Biden said he was going to cancel student loan debt. I work with student loans, and January 31st, the phones are going to be ringing because people are going to be asking how they pay these back.
It says, "Damn, dude, Franco was all early on Bernie."
Bernie. Yep.
It's that, you know what? Now I just read that and what Jalen said. It brings me to a question which I have, because this is what I've been kind of floating around in my head the most. What are we going to see come 2022? I mean, we got, with Biden just saying that he's going to put the debt stuff back going on out here in California. They're going back into mass. I noticed Independent News asked if you were still on Hear Me Out. I'm pretty sure no. But he's still doing his thing. Says, I was looking for booking hotels for inauguration. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us were bamboozled. I mean, millions of us were bamboozled. I'm just glad I wasn't one of those ones paying money into it. But I mean, what do you see coming 2022? I think that, especially once the primaries come, it's going to look ugly for the Democrats. But I mean, there's so much coming up for next year. So, just what do you think? What do you think we're going to expect? Some of your predictions.
I'll let Franco go.
Democrats are gonna lose a lot. It's gonna be really, I don't know what to say, boring to cover. For me, covering electoral politics now is like, who is it? I'm not cheering for anybody there. In a way, it will be fun though to expose certain people, but like to expose how look, they're not gonna save us. Look at what they're doing. Like, they're supporting all this legislation that's written by all these people that we're supposed to be fighting against, blah blah blah. So it's going to be interesting to see on 2022 and in 2024 when we get all these candidates running. We're going to see a big group of people that are hyped up about these people, like, oh, our heroes, we got to help them out so that they can help the squad out and all these other people. And I was like, when are you going to learn your lesson? We didn't get enough done with these people. More people got elected, nothing got done. Nothing will ever get done, because it's not their job to do so. They're not paid to do that. So that's just what I expect to see. A lot of people still having false hope, but we did see a wave in 2020. I was part of the wave that gave up on electoral politics in 2020. I think we will still see a bit of a smaller wave in 2022 of new people discovering that electoral politics are just not the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. From your lips to God's ears, that's what I'm hoping.
I
I mean, I think especially the couple of things which I think are really gonna really start to weigh in is, and we'll be careful with it, of course. Stuff dealing with what have I been calling it? The serum,
I just
the serum and the plague. The stuff involving that is definitely going to really, I think the Democrats, Virginia was just an early wake up call.
Marcus,
And I think they stayed asleep. Yep, Joe.
you mentioned serum. And my friend's girlfriend goes to NYU. When they come back from break, they have to get the booster seat.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. They're going to be, because they're ramping it up, and like Franco said before, they're skipping steps, and because they're skipping those steps, it's making people wake up faster. It's kind of like what'd you say, the toad in the boiling pot?
The frog in the boiling water. Yeah, if you
Yeah, they're
turn
turning
the
the
heat up
water up
slowly.
too fast.
Yeah.
They're turning the water up too fast, and people are like, "Whoa, it's getting hot around here!" Shit, and And I
I
think that,
honestly think, Marcus, I think
well,
that the Democrats' time is over by 2024.
well, possibly. I mean, I would not disagree.
I
Did
think
you
they
see?
run.
I was gonna say, did you see that Bernie now is trying to, I guess, channel, because you know how they kept saying that all of the hesitancy was right wingers and it was all Trump MAGA crowd, and now they're starting to see no, 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 no. It's a string of them that are independent, that were former Bernie voters, Tulsi voters, all these people like that who would be deemed leftists and who've always been deemed leftists, who are really pushing back. Bernie now is pushing back against Biden's pick for I can't remember what position it is. I think FDA, because he has pharma or Pfizer ties. Had you heard that yet?
I didn't know he was pushing back on his picks because
No,
of
I
that.
didn't know that either.
Yes, he's pushing back on him because of that. And what that tells me is, Bernie's starting to hear what's going on and what people are saying out there, and now he's trying to get into his populism talk early so that he can get in that sheep herding mode.
I
And
think
so he'll
what
lead the pack and get AOC and the rest to start following that.
Well, don't mention her
the
name, Marcus. She was in the comment.
the tactic they're going to use is say, look, they're not giving all these serums to all these people in other countries. It's because of it. He's going to use that rhetoric. He's not going to use anything about the whistleblower from Pfizer or about the growing cases in myocarditis. He's not going to bring any of that up. He's not going to bring
You
up
know,
how
Franco,
it's not stopping any spread.
they're gonna hit him with African Americans are denied health care, which is why you need to come get your booster seats.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's like we need to disperse this out. They don't want to disperse it out because they want money. He's going to use that rhetoric, and
Mm,
unfortunately, a lot of sheep are going to fall for it.
yeah, I mean, I think also that student loan thing. When I heard that, I was like, Biden, you literally are not only politically slitting your own throat, you're slitting the throat of all these Democrats, because that's something at least you can kind of sheep herd them on a little bit. You've already said that I'm going to keep on opening up drilling reservoirs. So screw any kind of climate change. People who are climate change voters, and you've already said, well, I'm going to keep forcing the serum on everybody. So anybody who's hesitant to that, and the only thing he had kind of left was the student loan and college thing, and he's kind of just chopped all that up too. So I'm like, what are you going to do to get younger voters?
Marcus, I don't know if you guys are the mandate is racist shit isn't good either. Exactly, laws, exactly. So Franco, I'm sure you're pretty up to date with certain student loan policies. Are you familiar with deferments and forbearance? Forbearance, I'm sorry.
I actually am not that
So
caught up with
deferment
with it.
So deferment and forbearance is basically just postponement of payment. So all they did was put all these loans and student loans into COVID and forbearance, and then everyone that got their stimulus that blew it. Anybody that was getting unemployment blew it and have to go back to work. And a lot of these people are in worse financial situations than they were before the came around. But on January 31st, when the COVID forbearance ends, these people are going to get a lot of their loans defaulted.
Hmm.
And if you thought you couldn't get a house or an apartment now because it was so expensive, then when those student loans go and get out of forbearance, you won't be able to do any of those things because your credit is going to be so bad. But yet you sat and told millions of people, oh yeah, we're going to cancel it. All
It's
you
just
did was
par
put it
for the
on hold.
course.
All he did, he just put it on hold. He was like, "You guys could pay it later," and then they're not even
Well,
gonna get the people probably aren't even gonna pay it, and then they're not even gonna account for the interest that built up all through that time.
It's par for the course. Code it in a way that sounds pleasurable to people, in a way that's gonna help them. It's a Trojan horse, right? All of these legislations are in the end going to help out the people who write them, right? It's going to help out these lobbyists. So yeah, it's a Trojan horse, just like any of these other legislations. Um,
But you know what's funny? Actually, like pertaining to student loans, George Bush was the one who said you couldn't write off student loans under bankruptcy. So, if it's a.
Well, to be accurate, George Bush was the president, but the person who was involved in writing that bill was Joe Biden.
Mhm.
Of course. Of course. The guy who said he's going to cancel it.
Well, I mean, if you go through a lot of this stuff, you're going to see Joe Biden's name
His
written
name
all
is
over.
on a lot of
That's
things.
the
Yeah.
reason why my biggest issue is it doesn't matter what policy that we support. We got to always focus on who are the people who are going to implement it.
Yeah.
Who are the people who are in charge of it? And it doesn't matter how great the program is, whatever it is. Joe Biden and the Democrats are who we have to hang all our hope on for that. I mean, your thoughts, Frank?
And Biden was a chosen one too. He was part of the Democratic Leadership Committee, the DLC, along with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. So when Obama had to choose his vice president, right? It's like, oh, you should choose, if you're not going to choose Hillary Clinton, then choose this other person from the Democratic Leadership Committee, Joe Biden, who, like you said, has a history of writing all this legislation that hurts the people.
Mm-hmm.
The crime bill is the biggest example, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Patriot Act, which he was so proud of writing. So yeah, all of these policies, legislation that he supports, that he's going to implement, are ones that are going to help us get closer to that great reset that these elites want so bad.
That, like you said, I'm gonna reference a comment you made earlier when you said when election time comes, it's just gonna be funny exposing people and telling people they're not here to help us. Actually, my biggest joy was just trashing Biden on Twitter, just because everybody's just so. But actually, this kind of put some fear into my heart. So as I was researching the when all that stuff was going on.
Yeah, you got me.
So around that time, I was researching the other things going on, and I stumbled upon this guy called Klaus Schwab. Never heard of him before. I'm sure maybe Marcus, maybe you've heard of him before. I was new to him, and he had
Mm-hmm.
Build Back Better, and that's when I heard of the Great Reset. Am I frozen?
No.
No, we hear you.
Oh, on my thing, I was frozen. Okay.
Okay.
So he started talking about this Build Back Better. I watched the video, the whole thing, and then a few weeks later, Biden came around with Kamala with the Build Back Better. And I started thinking, I already knew they were already corrupt, but now I was seeing, okay, now it's going somewhere totally different. And like you guys said, they're doing things out of order. And now I'm looking, especially with the Build Back Better thing I referenced before, like, oh, they're trying to take it somewhere where it's like, okay, like we really got to start making certain moves now. I wonder if that's how you guys felt when you came across that information.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcus.
I kind of knew about a lot of the Build Back Better stuff for a while, and the Great Reset because of David Icke. For those who are not familiar, like I've been kind of following his work since like I would say at least 2016, and then you go back to I think it might have been Bush Jr. who was talking about the New World Order back
Mm-hmm.
then. So I was always, kind of ear to the ground on some of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That connection though with New World Order, the Great Reset, right? It's them doing different tactics to achieve the same thing they wanted for years. They had this planned out for many decades. The New World Order was that was like more of a conservative Republican strategy. The Great Reset is more of like a liberal, let's help the environment strategy, where in the end it's still a way to make these people richer and to take power away from us even more. You will own nothing, right? And you will be happy.
Well,
Which is
see, the
why,
thing is, we've looked at it more domestically how we should have been looking at it is it's literally a global
yeah, they
type
want a one
deal.
world government, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're all so intertwined with all these other governments, and they have all these what is it called? All these conventions where all these leaders meet. COP
The Bill,
26.
the Bilderberg,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
but
there's so much stuff. The IMF, and we can go. I mean,
a lot of
one of these times, I want to get you on to talk about like to go deeper on a lot of this stuff because we don't want to we don't want to keep our boy too late. I know he has to get up super early in the morning. Um,
I can
but
stay for like a good 20 more minutes.
all right, sweet, sweet,
Yeah.
sweet.
wait,
Um,
Marcus, can I
yes,
add? A lot of people. I'm sure our viewers. We're all awakened at some point. And, we think we know, but what if we find out the stuff that we know isn't even true? But I will say,
well,
I don't think, like you guys said, it's been planned for years. I don't, the Build Back Better and the New World Order. I think these sayings and phrases are not just relative to 2016 or 2020. I think they had a plan to shift everything by the turn of the century because as soon as we turn around, the next year after 2000 was 9/11. And I feel like from 2000 to where we are now, it's changed every single part of society, inflation, even the way we interact with each other. Now you're more drawn, like, look, Marcus is in California. I've never met him in person, but we do a podcast together and talk. They already changed the little ways on how we make friends. And people can't even look at that on just the smallest microscopic level of change. So if they can just change how we interact with each other, now people won't even want to shake your hand. Like I
Yeah.
just don't understand how even on the smallest level, people don't think how that has a trickle down effect to every other aspect,
Yeah,
whether it
they're
be
gonna be
policy,
like,
laws.
oh, yeah, they're gonna be
demolition
like,
man.
yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, social distance. Don't touch. Don't shake hands because you might get sick. Don't go use your car too much and meet with people because it's bad for the environment. And we're gonna give you guys a penalty for that, just like how they did with this Build Back Better Act. Was it the Build Back Better Act or the infrastructure bill, where you have to pay more the more roads that you use, which
Build
sucks
back
because
better.
what if you have to drive an hour to get to work? You have to pay more now, more for tolls. There's gonna be more tolls. The metaverse now. Oh, what a great way for you to meet with all these people. You don't have to go out. You don't have to ruin the environment by driving around. But yeah, they're evolving, right? They're evolving
Oh yeah.
ways to control us better.
Well, what I would say, Jalen, is you're looking at it as if maybe they might have like altered their plan. No, 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 no. They're still on the same trajectory and plan. Nothing has really gotten off. Maybe some of their implementation hasn't went exactly perfect because if you plan something out
Yeah.
20, 30, 40, 50
They
years in advance, you're not going to get everything right.
they do
But
some tweaks,
yeah, they
right?
do some tweaks and then they'll rework it. It's kind of like those movies where you see somebody where it's like fate happens no matter what, and they go back in time and they keep trying to change it, but it still happens. It just happens different each time. This is kind of like one of those scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it still happens the way they want it to happen overall, except minor details get changed here and there. Because here's something I want everybody to look back to, and I guess let me answer Caitlin's question real quick. Yes, that is plagiarized. The Build Back Better goes into some of the stuff which you see in the and what is it, the World Economic Forum. That's where you'll find a lot of that plagiarism coming from, and you'll hear that from Boris Johnson to Biden to Macron, and go on and on and on. You'll hear little bits of it all sprinkled because they're all reading off the same overall script. But what I wanted to say is Biden is on video telling I can't remember who's going on the Supreme Court at the time, but he's telling them that they are going to have to, um, I guess they're going to have to judge on the RFID chip and it going into people's bodies.
But remember, they said, "Oh, there's not going to be anything implemented in your bodies. It's
I
just
was going to say, you know
Yeah.
what, Jalen, try to see if you can find it real quick. RFID chip and Biden.
Yeah, they were calling people conspiracy theorists for saying that there is going to be passports that you have to use to show that you've been received the serum, And then when it finally happens, those same people that were calling us conspiracy theorists that were warning about it are like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist for not liking it." They're just gonna keep shit moving the goalposts.
Or they'll tell you, "Oh, you're just a part of the fake news media." Now everything comes with fact check.
Well, remember not that long ago, if they said that there would be a fourth shot, a fifth shot, that was looked at as mockery. Even the third shot was looked at as they were making memes about it like it was a joke. When people were saying it.
You said RFID chips, or are you talking about where he signed the executive order?
No. On YouTube, look up the video, and he's talking to a Supreme Court justice about that they will have to rule on it. If I can remember, I think it might have been help me in the chat if you can remember. I think it might have been not Alito, but crap, I can't. Whoever the head justice is right now. He was the justice who I believe was the one that was going on the Supreme Court at the time. I can't remember his name to save my life. Justice Kennedy, I believe.
Okay,
But
I'm looking for it right now.
he's the one that they were talking. You say you found it?
No, I said I'm looking right now. You said Joe. You said who? Kennedy? I'm sorry.
It's not Justice John Roberts.
Justice Roberts. That's who it was. It was Roberts. It was during Roberts' confirmation, and when he's talking about the RFID chip back then. Now think about how long ago that was when he was telling him that. This is like maybe 2005. Yeah, maybe around that time, 2005, 2006, when he's talking to him about it. I mean, it's kind of weird because it looks super old. Like at that time, anything that was filmed anywhere from like the 80s up until like 2006, it all looked the same.
Yeah.
You know,
Marcus, are you talking about the video with Obama in it?
No, it should not be Obama there.
I'm saying when you said Chief Justice Roberts, were you talking about the video with him and Obama in it, and they're speaking at a podium?
No, he's not at a podium.
Okay.
Yeah, they're sitting literally. When they put a new justice on the court and they're trying to do their confirmation, they're normally sitting at their bench seating across the top, and they're normally sitting down at the table, and they're firing away questions. Different senators are asking them questions and talking about different things. That's where it would be. She's fact checking. Oh, okay. But thanks anyway. Oh.
I can't find it. All I'm seeing is that there's no RFID chips in the serum.
Well, they might have buried it. What I'll do is I will send that to you later on, Franco. That video, because I have it saved in my favorites.
If you put it in the private chat, I can pull it up from there.
Yeah, well, I can't go into it right here. You would probably have to go to my YouTube on this channel, and I have I think it's called Dark Secrets or something, or they rule the world. Which I tell people all the time: go into my playlist, my creative playlist. Yes, and that's where if you see me in the chat, in somebody's chat, that's my main one because I'm on this one most of the time.
What's the playlist called?
Check in Dark Secrets, or it's They Rule the World. It might be They Rule the World, I believe, because there I keep a lot of stuff. In which, that reminds me, somebody who's in your chat all the time, Franco, I think they go by the name of Gene or John. I'm not sure if it's a male or female, but they have a lot of issues with things that I say. Them and some Bill person.
Bradley?
Yes, Bill Bradley. I would love to have Mr. Bradley have a conversation with me sometime, because there's so much stuff which I could just pull it up instead of just. It's easy to argue in a chat or in a thread, and But you hop on live with me and I can pull this up and I can show you these things. And then you tell me that I'm just crazy. Then, you know,
Do you see what I'm sharing right now?
hold on one second.
Yeah, maybe Franco pulled something up.
Yeah, I'm in the playlist right now.
Oh, yeah,
the
I
music
was just
industry
in that one.
exposed. Jada Pinkett
See,
Smith.
you have a lot of weekend videos. I knew you went deep dive on the weekend.
Yeah.
You double dipped on the weekend.
Oh yeah, I told you. This is where a lot of my research is in here, and some of the stuff I don't even have all of my stuff even open for everybody because some stuff I'm like, that might be a little sensitive for some people, so I'm gonna hold this back. But literally every video in there, I've watched everything in there
Oh, whoops!
in its entirety. Oh yeah, that's a crazy one. That's a
Yeah.
crazy video.
I didn't mean to play it because they might give you a copyright strike if I play the whole thing. Someone
Well,
loses
maybe
it.
not that one because it's just short little clips, but is it this
Okay.
one? Because I think it does. I think it literally says RFID chip in the title.
Okay, let me see. Let me go to.
And it looks like Biden back in the day with his hair plugs in. And he's sitting up there and he's like, "You're gonna have to rule on this one day." Blah 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 blah. You know how he normally talks down to everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. I appreciate you so much, fan of. So seriously, you take it up. I don't even know what they were talking about here, but sweet. Um, there's a treaty in place. I guess I have not been watching the chat. I do not know what you all are talking about in there, but yeah, keep it up. Jalen, what's some of your thoughts on some of the stuff about RFID chips and stuff? Did you see that video that we did? What was it? Maybe a week before last, when we had Shadow Band and we had Jack on, and we talked about the young gentleman who's gotten the RFID chip in his right hand already. He has his banking record. He has his banking records on it. It has a key to his home. It has his home, his car, medical records, banking records. All of that is on the chip.
Marcus, you literally just pointed to everything I was going to say. So right then and there, look at everything they had in the RFID chip. You want to know how they're going to sell it to you? Convenience. And what they're going to do is they either I feel like they're going to force you to get it, or they're going to sell it to you and they're going to make you feel like you need it. If you don't have it, you're obsolete.
Or like you really want it, right? They have these virtual reality games now, right? If they tell you, oh, you can actually feel like you're in the game when you pair this along with the chip, right? You get in a fight, you're gonna feel it, or you're like running in the game, you're gonna feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest scary part is the tracking.
Yeah.
Like,
well, another way. But see, here's the thing. The way they'll dismiss the tracking part away is they say, well, everybody keeps their phone with them at all times, right? So your phone is always tracking you. So then people are going to dismiss that away. But here's another way which they're advertising it is, I don't know if you've heard of what they call biohacking, where people voluntarily keep a chip in them. Now, at this point, they're doing it in their arm, I believe, but it tracks all of their like blood pressure, glycerin level, all of these different things. So, okay, if maybe you need to eat something a little differently, maybe you're deficient in vitamin D, maybe you need more iron. All of these things report back to the chip, and you're able to look at it on your phone, and it tells you, okay, you need this, or maybe you need to sleep more, and all of these things. It's literally doing a diagnostics on your body the whole entire time, always.
Was it you guys that were talking about this the other day? How it's funny how Neuralink and the metaverse are happening at around the same time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember what it is. I was watching, and this ties into some of the research with the Neuralink. They were showing people where their skulls are up. No, that's not it. It was on when I was doing some research on the weapons and stuff. that they will be used in futuristic weapons, and some of it's literally going to be tied into certain parts of your cerebral cortex.
Hmm.
Yeah, they have people who volunteered for it, and they literally have their head like cuts open, like parts of their skull, little parts. It's completely exposed, and they have wires and everything attached directly to their brain.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's
you haven't seen
like what
that,
they do
have you?
with mice when they do
Yes.
neurology studies on mice, neurophysiology and all that to measure like how much neurotransmitters are being sent over to the between these neurons. They do that with mice. Like these
Hmm.
tracking things are touching the brain. That's scary.
Yeah,
Now,
I saw human beings who are doing this
now,
already.
what are you gonna do if it malfunctions, or even worse? There's not a singular place, but the wrong group of people who I suspect will have access to these chips can start
Exactly.
doing certain things with these implanted in your body.
Jalen, pop this one up.
Uh,
This is going into talking about the biohacking and stuff like that. I mean, for me, what I'm noticing is they know they just can't say, you know what, for you who don't want to lose your keys anymore, here's alternatives. Some people are like, no, I don't want that. For the people who say, you know what, maybe I want to be healthier, maybe this will appeal to them. So all of these different ways which they have to appeal and reach out, they're going to use every different way to, advertise it. Because going into my theology, it says, beware the hour of temptation. And so what that's telling you is it's not going to be something that necessarily is going to be forced on you. It's going to be something which you're tempted with.
Mm-hmm.
And simplicity is the easy temptation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Marcus, can you put back up the L's comment so I can finish typing the link in?
Sure. There we go. What's some of your thoughts on this, Franco?
They're definitely gonna market it like that, make you feel like you want it. People are scared. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I want to know if I'm gonna get like if I'm sick with COVID before I go to the doctors or whatever." Right?
I didn't even think about that aspect of knowing it about COVID.
All these things, right? I want to know if like my blood, like what my blood pressure is, and if I'm gonna be like experiencing like low pressure or something. Right?
The video that L put in the chat took it down.
Oh, they took our video down?
It says this video isn't available anymore.
Interesting.
Oh, I was able to get it. Body
you were?
hackers implant RFID chips to customize themselves.
Yes.
Can you
Okay, I'll
Yes.
share.
That's the video that I was talking about.
Do you guys see
Where
it?
there we go.
It's showing an ad right now.
Hmm. You got to get that red like me. No commercials.
Yeah. All right.
It's especially good if you watch movies on YouTube, as I do occasionally.
You guys see it? There's no volume though.
I think it's muted in the corner.
No, it might not be any volume.
I'm able to hear it, but you guys can't.
me
I'm gonna have to pull it up on my laptops in order for you guys
Yeah,
to hear.
that's the little syringe that they were using to implant it.
That's
They're like,
weird.
yeah, your pets have gotten it, so now you can get it too. And see, yeah, he literally had it. So that chip, as soon as he opened the door, as soon as he puts his hand next to the door, it unlocks the door. Also, as soon as he puts his hand near the steering wheel, it starts up his car. Also, all of it is on the chip.
And this is going on 6 years now.
Yeah, they've had this technology. It's just a matter of working out all the kinks and things like that. You see that? Doors unlocked, door locks, all of that stuff is going to be on the chip.
1 second.
Hey, Marcus, you see it was designed by Samsung.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. I guarantee you that all of these big tech companies have been, you know,
Between 30 to
competing for it.
50,000 people worldwide have chip implants in their bodies. German tech consultant Andreas Sjöström used his chip as a boarding pass on a recent flight from Stockholm to Paris and to get into an
Mm,
airport VIP lounge.
You guys
Skeptics
hear
say the
that?
implants raise privacy
yep.
issues and worry that strangers could tap into the information on a chip without the owner's knowledge. Others say potential uses for the technology, such as keeping track of a patient with dementia, could pose ethical concerns. But Crovino and others see a future where technology and the human form will merge.
I think when it becomes more prevalent and there's a lot more things and options that you can do with this, that people will, opt in for that kind of augmented human sort of attitude. That's why I have an Android device and not an iPhone, is because I want to be able to customize everything I have, so why should I not be able to customize myself?
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what's coming. That is what's coming. I see a
Sorry,
couple of
guys.
great comments in there, and I agree. Everybody in the chat, I just so many hands about to be cut off.
My bad, guys. Somebody, I guess the pizza delivery got knocked on the wrong door. But and look, that was going on 6 years ago. Imagine how much more advanced that they're hiding from us that it is at this point in time.
You're
Well,
right. 2016.
see what they have to do is like, for instance, like if you have an older car, they're just going to come out with new apps or whatever to retrofit that to your older car. So now it'll work for everything, and it'll start working at gas pumps. And I guarantee you, they're working on applications to expand this out. And remember what I the what is it? The Smart Text, the Armatex smart gun. That gun is operated off of a RFID chip. So right now, currently, you have a watch which you wear, which has the RFID chip in it. It's only a matter of time before that RFID chip gets coded into your hand.
Those Fitbits and everything, the smartwatches with Apple, they're going to be inside of people now. By the way,
Yeah.
that video was scary. Those weapons that they use, how many
hmm
people they can kill at once.
Oh yeah.
And that's just what they're showing us.
Oh, that's
And
completely. That's all. I put it this way: if I wanted to keep going and showing more weapons, I could have kept going. There's so much more that I left out. Like, the part towards the end where I showed the railgun, right?
Hmm.
Do you know that they're working on a smaller portable size railgun to eventually, their goal eventually is to put this down to like a rifle size so that a individual human being can have their own railguns. So for those who saw the old movie Eraser, they're trying to do that shit for real.
so then what? You piss me off, I'm gonna just shoot you through
Well, do you know what's significant about the railgun?
my
The railgun, it's the capacity. It's fired with basically like a projectile, which is different. It's no hammer and gunpowder and all that stuff like that. It's getting to the next level of almost like phaser guns. And the thing about that is because of the firing mechanism that it's able to use, it's able to project the rounds much farther and much more powerful.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's going to the future is getting scary. That's all I would say. Yeah, Jack says kinetic force, which for those who don't realize it, a lot of times kinetic force, that's what actually kills you. You don't die from the bullet hitting you. A lot of times you die from that kinetic force, which is sucked out of your body with the round, or sepsis, which, that's infection.
Wait, Marcus, is that kinetic force? So when they get shot in their body, just like, is that the kinetic force?
Well, that's a reflex of seeing them actually being hit. But that kinetic force, like if you show like a 45 round, because the round moves slower and its size. What it does, instead of like a 9 millimeter bullet, because it travels really, really fast, 9 millimeter bullet like punches. So if you've seen like those experts in like martial arts and they're able to like hit a piece of paper and just put like a single hole and it's perfectly round. Well, what this will do is this will go in and rip. And so as it rips, it's sucking out blood and air and wherever it's hitting you at, it's sucking out all of that while it's going out. So it's, have you ever seen like, I know I see your face, Jalen, but you remember with Neo in the, I think it's the second Matrix or when he's flying to catch Trinity and you're watching all of that stuff being sucked behind him. That's what we're going to be talking about as far as kinetic energy being forced out of you, which you'll see people, boom, die instantly. That's
That
what we're
makes
talking
me
about.
also think about in DBZ Piccolo's special beam cannon, right? It's
hmm
like twisting and all that.
Exactly. And so that's when you start, that's the reason why they start having what they call hollow points. Oh, God, let's not even talk about that. Jack just brought up depleted uranium. They start using depleted uranium. Now, even if you do say survive that wound, now you're dealing with possible uranium infection and dying of basically cancer. So, yeah, it gets the stuff which they're doing in weapons technology. I just tell you, it's scary. It's
In
and that
weapons,
reminded me. But sorry, Franco. I'll say this real
it's
quick.
okay.
Kaylin says, "I saw the new Matrix trailer and thought of you." I will be doing a breakdown. I figure what I'm going to do is, since I don't have the time before it comes out, I'm going to do all three at the same time, and so I'm just going to do one mega stream and make sure I have good. Because last time people didn't tell me that I was cutting in and out. I want to make sure that I have perfectly good signal. Because when I go in on this, I'm gonna go in, and the more I go back and rewatch this, there's shit which I'm seeing like, how did you miss that? And part of it is because as I've gotten more studied on other religions, like I've started noticing stuff in like in the Matrix movie that are scriptures in the Mormon Bible, which people wouldn't even realize that they put that in there unless you know about Mormonism. So there's a
Crazy.
lot that's hidden, in these movies. That I mean, we brought up last time Glory and Steve were on the other channel how in Captain America Winter Soldier about the
Julian
Hydra clip.
Assange.
Yeah, Julian Assange is in there, but they're literally talking about how the Illuminati moves. And they do this in MCU movies all the time.
And Operation Paperclip, because
Yeah, they
Zola
talked about it.
was from Germany.
Yeah, I mean, I could go
Scientist.
so deep on that, so deep. And one of these times, well, I'm still holding it to you. We're gonna get you over to a political matrix one of these days, and so we're gonna really expand it out. That way, when you have the time to just hell Hydra, they're funny. But when you have the time, we're gonna really get into it because, like, I remember I hinted a little bit about the 13 families, and then somebody like mocked the fact of the Lee family.
Joe
I don't know if you
Bradley.
saw. I don't know if you saw in there. There's a video in there talking about the Lee family, which I'll send you that one so you can see
Okay.
it. It's not very long. You might have to read the subtitles, but that's how they'll do some of these things. They'll strip away the English version, and so you might only be able to read it.
Okay. I'll
But it
definitely check that
details them.
out.
Yeah. I got some stuff for you. I got some stuff for you because all of these things which I noticed and saw all led me to get to where I am now. It didn't start with, oh, let me go read the Bible first. It started with looking into money ties of the elites. This person owns that, political connections, looking back through history, and then hearing a couple of people admit certain things. And then that pushed me. So you can't just look at politics. You can't just look at, follow the money ties. you got to look at politics. You got to look at history. You got to look at the money ties. You got to look at the elites. You got to look at banking. You got to look everywhere because it's all interwoven together.
As time passes on, people are gonna start realizing how they have to be more integrative with how they look at the world. They can't just stay focused on one thing. Like, it's okay to have like your own thing where you know most about, because I don't know, it's like one area excites you the most. Like if it's like bio warfare or whatever, like, and you're focused on it, that's fine. But keep in mind that all these issues, you got to integrate them all together, just like Marcus was saying. Spirituality aspect, the history aspect. What else were you mentioning? Like the money ties and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Politics. They got their hands in all of that. That's how. What is it? The tentacles of these predators extend.
Yeah. The tentacles of the octopus.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, and I'm gonna use this carefully because I know he's a very controversial historical figure. But Henry Ford once, when he was on trial, well, not on trial, yeah, he was on trial for something, and he said, "Well, I don't know all the knowledge on this or knowledge on that, but I know where to go and find it. I know to go and find this person. I'll go hire this person." And so it's not that any of us are going to be experts on anything in particular. It's about us doing what they do. One person sits at the top with a shitload of money and they say, I'm going to go find the person who knows about this and who knows about that and who knows about this. And they bring them all together like a dream team. And so we have to take whatever our expertise is in our different fields and put it all together. And then when we do that, then we're able to understand and see, and then we can all cover for each other's weak areas, so whatever Franco's strong on, he can help me on the areas I'm weak, and vice versa.
That's how you guys do it at the Political Matrix, and with Shadowban and Jack Sith also.
That's how we do it.
It's really helped bolstering you guys.
And Jalen's going to be jumping on too occasionally on the Political Matrix too.
Awesome. I was seeing a lot of similar mannerisms in Jalen that I see in Chris Lawson.
That's my pops.
Yeah, I know.
I call him Gemini Man. That's what he reminds me of. I mean, he's literally like Chris just turns 19 and like he's fighting against himself, the older version.
My knees.
But what was that, Jay?
I said my knees are a lot better though.
Shit, your knees are a lot better than all of ours.
Your dad has injured knees?
No, I'm just calling them old.
Oh.
Well, I do. I will not lie. I've had reconstructive knee surgery, and I've had a lot of injuries. We'll just leave it at that. But Franco, I was wondering. I mean, and I appreciate you for staying a little bit later with us. I was wondering, you got any? Last thing, I noticed a certain, I'll be nice, individual that goes by the name of Vouch, right. Which he happened to say some things, and Franco called him out, and he bucked up for a moment, but he's kind of disappeared as of late. What's going on with the whole Vouch situation? I mean, is he turning into Where's Waldo?
No, he actually did reach out, and we're trying to find a day in which we can have a discussion or debate, but it seems like it's going to happen.
You guys heard it here. Franco and Vouch. It is happening.
It'll be around 28th, 29th. I'll try to see, but it seems like any days works for him.
Mm-hmm.
But those days, I had a lot going on right now with everything, like end of the semester and all that. So, plus I'm gonna need a little break during the holidays and all that. So it'll be a little bit after Christmas.
I can understand. Like I tell people, we do work day jobs. I mean, it's not like I mean, I wish we could be, and I'm not hating on any of those other people who they're able to do it for a career and be able to, hey, well, just catch me at this time, that time. So, I mean, and we got lives, and and Franco still has a new wife. They're still honeymoon. It's still in the honeymoon phase in my eyes. I was married for about 8 years or so, something like that. 8, 9 years. I don't remember. Not important, but but young, beautiful love. It's always good. So he got to make sure that he tends that flower over there. Got to keep the relationship fresh, and he can't spend all his time with us.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I really appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. I like listening to you guys in my drive to work. Listening to the Political Matrix. I mainly listen to you guys now, and The Last American Vagabond, and a bit of Alison McDowell, or whenever Whitney Webb drops an interview.
Mhm.
It's those are the main podcasts I've been listening to.
Oh, we consider it a huge compliment that that you listen to us. I
Thank
mean,
you,
I
man.
know I definitely do, and I also love how, like, off camera, people don't realize Franco's really a good guy. I mean, and we talk, whenever I'm able to hop on Discord and stuff like that. Really, really good guy, and I consider Franco a friend. Even though I'll admit we've never met in person yet, which that's going to happen eventually. One of these days, I'll be out there on the East Coast. Don't be
Or vice
surprised.
versa.
Don't be surprised if I end up being out there permanently. I'm just throwing that out there for now.
It's mad
But
expensive on your side, man.
It is.
well, it's mad a lot of things over here, and I'm not in love with this governor we have. In fact, let's just put it this way: I fucking hate Gavin Newsom. I cannot stand this guy and any of his fucking policies. I mean, let's see. Oh, that's right. Since people can tell, well, I don't. I guess this is Twitter, so they're not going to go after me for this. But if if he got hit by a bus tomorrow, you would see the biggest happy dance ever from me. Just saying. I'm sorry.
They gonna come for your neck.
Hey, he can come for me if he wants to. Oh yeah, and a shout out to Elle, her show, her podcast, Super Awkward Funcast. I think I got it right this time. I got it right this time. But I'm so glad to have you on here, brother. It's so appreciated. And
Long time
we
coming.
still got a lot to talk about. So that you all, like I always say, you always have an invitation to any of my shows and platforms whenever you want to swing through. And then of course we're going to talk more on the spirituality side, off camera and stuff. Because we can't give y'all all the goods. I mean, we can't give y'all everything. So, Jalen, you got anything you want to say to Franco?
Nah, thanks for coming on. I was telling Marcus I actually wanted to meet you because he mentioned you a lot, and actually on his playlist, your show is saved on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcus has appeared several times on the show.
Yeah, but then I've watched a couple of the times Marcus went on Rockfin, so I've seen a little bit of you. So it was nice to have you on the show, man. Thank you for coming.
It was nice being on here. I had a great conversation with you guys. There's not a lot of people in this world where I can go this deep with and what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have another sit down, me, you, and Nico too. I would love
yeah.
love to have that. I'm still working on getting Nico on one of my channels eventually. We just got to figure it out. I know he has a lot of stuff going on. I heard his stream I think the one before the last one where he was talking about had a lot of personal stuff going on. So I understand that. I'm sympathetic to it. So just whenever he has the time, I definitely want to get with him, but I want to get with him and you too to talk, because last time we had such a good conversation, me, you, and Jordan.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Oh yeah, that's right. Anything you want to plug or let people know that's coming up for you?
You can find me on Franc Analysis on my channel, on YouTube, on Rockfin, also Franc Analysis, Odyssey, another place where you can find me outside of YouTube. I got some backup channels in case anything happens, and as of upcoming videos, right now there's a lot going on. I think maybe the next time you'll see me will be a week from now or something. But after that, 2022, I know it's going to be a great year, and there's going to be a lot more consistency, just like how you've been seeing, and a lot more growth. So I'm really looking forward to that. 2022 is going to be a great year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Looking so forward to it. And for all our friends and colleagues, oh, shout out to Glory Jones and Slow News Day. They came on, graced me with their appearance presence. I loved it. Make sure if you're not subscribed to them, make sure you get over there, subscribe to them. Make sure you subscribe to Franco. Make sure you subscribe to my other channel, The Political Matrix, also. And to all my friends and buddies in there, Jack Shiv, Shadow Band, ICU, everybody, Variant, much love to all. Thanks for stopping through, and for those who catch this on the recast, make sure to just share it with a friend and let them and bring them into the conversation next time. You know, that said, you all have a great night. This was Talk of the Ages with our special guest, Franco or Bruno Franco, of the Franc Analysis, part of the MCSC network. So glad to have you on here, brother, and have a good night. Oh, and Misha, much love to you, brother. Hopefully you're doing better, and I am going to make sure to reach out to you. Hopefully you're all right. Condolences to you. But, all right, have a good night.
Good
Have a
night,
good night,
everyone.
man.